back out here in the shop again today. Gonna be doing the Villains angle kit today. I recently just did some little stuff on the car. I painted like these headlight buckets and all the trim up here and the wipers to try and clean it up a little bit. I made this little pin for the carb or for the intake so this doesn't spin. I relocated my fuse box and I also changed the coolant. I went to bleed it, and whenever I bled my KA, I would just let it run on jack stands until it warmed up and the coolant would like flow and the bubbles would come out and whatnot. Try to do that and it just like exploded. Coolant everywhere. That's what all this sawdust is, the coolant. So I shut it off, of course, and topped it off with more distilled water. And anyways, we're gonna be doing the Villains kit today. Basically, I also got to replace this control arm. As you can see, it's like a tubular guy. That's eBay. The other side broke and it's OEM. And this OEM arm got smacked in an accident, or like I hit a curb. So I'm gonna put a new OEM arm that I have on this side as well as the kit. All right, so basically the way the angle kit works, these guys, from what I can tell, either go in front of or behind the hub. I'll have to double check once I get it off. Bolt right on the same bolt as the hub. And then these guys mount the calipers, which are from a Volkswagen Bug, and they're like dual piston, pretty decent actually. And then there's like a little slip-on spacer to help clear wheels, I guess. And then there's the line kit and stuff. So basically you should take this stuff off here, slide off your caliper. I'm gonna tie that up, but since the camera's in my hand, just sit it there. Slip this guy off. Boom. And then yeah, that plate's actually gonna go behind here. So I'm gonna get my wrench out and bust this off. Alright, so then you have to take the hub off. The axle bolt has to come off. I believe it's a 36 mil, that's what I just used. Which is why a lot of people who have 240s always say you need a 36 mil. It's for these axles, and they're a pain in the ass to break. I had to just use this piece of pipe over top of the handle of that big ass breaker bar to get it off. An impact's best for this, but I don't have a 3/4 drive impact, so. Once it breaks though, look how easy it is. I just hit where the rusty ends are, but she comes right this off. Hub, once you get the bolt off, it's going to be a little bit tricky to get off. I find that just lightly tapping the flange on opposite sides walks it off. Don't hit it too hard because this is your wheel bearing. You don't want to destroy that. And now what you're going to notice is this inside edge might have a little bit of rust, and that little bit of rust is what makes it so hard for that to come out. And it's also going to make this a little bit hard to go on. So suggest you get some sandpaper, sand around this edge so it's all shiny metal. And I painted mine, so I'm going to sand all the paint off on that inside edge so it seats better. I suggest that you mock it all up like this on the bench, just so you have a good idea of how it's going to go together. As you can see down here, there we go, the bolts are exposed perfectly, and this is on there. And that spacer, by the way, actually I put it behind the thing and it worked pretty good, it looks like. I think. Actually, I don't think it's sitting right. Let me check. Alright, so if you notice here, there's these numbers which I grinded down so you can kind of see where the numbers were at. You have to actually grind these off because the back of the nut or the bolt that holds on the additional caliper hits right there, even though there's like a little step where the bearing sits. Like I said, the back of that bolt is tack welded to the plate and it rubs right there. And my caliper also hits right here, the casting. So you have to grind all that out as well. You just take the flap disc to it and it'll disappear in no time. So here it is all together, and if you guys referred to me on the bench, I said I had it arranged wrong, I did. This spacer, this here shim spacer guy goes on the hub before the disc to push the disc out a little bit. This just bolts straight on. These spacers that are included actually go on here to space your stock brake caliper out to match up because of the thickness of that plate we added. And then I did have to do a good bit of grinding on the back of the knuckle, but it clears now. And you can't really see it on the camera, but there is actually a gap there. So hard to tell. It's almost all together on this side, so I'm going to finish putting on the original brake caliper and get the wheels back on as well. A huge shout out for their directions. Not only are they fully everything you need to know, they do this sweet little thing with the bolts, 1, 2, and 3. There's no confusion on what goes where. The line kits are labeled 150 centimeter. and 220 centimeters, so you know which one's which. And this one I'm going to put on next, actually. Now, excuse my dirty hands, but these here are called banjo bolts, and these copper washers are super crucial to this. These are actually what seals it, and one goes on each side. And they're underneath the flange of the bolt and on the underside of the actual banjo fitting. And this will thread into the caliper just like that. Here it is with a new OEM lower control arm in. Forgot to put it in the first time. Here's the junk that came out. Never buy eBay arms, like lower control arms. I have eBay tension rods in the front, traction arms and tow arms, and upper control arms in the back. They're all no issue. This was an absolute pain in the ass to get on. All these joints like suck ass. I had eBay front lower control arms. They broke. Like the ball joint part, the Heim joint actually broke in half. So don't get those. I actually still have them on the car, but they're gonna be getting swapped over for villains. And then this one, I actually have one of these bolts break that hold it to the knuckle, like through that ball joint. The bolt actually broke and shot down with such force that it split this whole entire barrel. So like the back edge of the rim came off. And I've never seen that shit happen before, and they weren't even my wheels. I was very upset. I was even more upset that my friend let me borrow this wheel, and I completely destroyed it beyond any type of repair. But he was okay with it. You know, I paid him for it. We're good now. And yeah, just don't buy those. All right, so I was working on installing this driver's side to finish the plumbing for this video. And I remembered I have this brand new wheel bearing. I never put it on. The other side is brand new, but it pissed me off. I had to like cut the old bearing off the spindle. So this is like a complete miracle. I put this one in the press, and look at this. It's actually pressing right out. I can't believe this right now. I'm so shocked. Okay, so I lied. The inner race is stuck on. Alright guys, so I finally got the car all buttoned up with the villain's handbrake install. All I have to do is drill the hole and run the line, but that's pretty self-explanatory. So here it is, all set up. Like I said, it's to drill the hole probably right around in here, or run this down the tunnel and in. But they suggested drilling a hole in here, so we're gonna see what's inside and see how I can run it. But here's how you install on this side. Both lines run over, just like I was explaining on the motorcycle. And then they butt up like that with a crush washer between every joint, as you see. And I ran them like that. I don't know if that's how they're supposed to be ran, but that's how they're going to be ran on my car. So I was going to run it through like in here, but these parts all move. So going above it's probably the best bet. And as you can see, it all fits pretty good. It looks sick. And that's it. Next video, I'm going to be working on the inside. I have to cut out my handbrake and make a bracket so it's like a regular handbrake and not like a remote mounted one like it is now. Has way too much flex in it. I'm not even gonna try and hook it up to this system. So that's what's gonna be my next video, is welding that together and getting it hooked up and plumbed. But for now, I'll see you guys later.